Hey, so this is a first for Mountaineer Kingdom Dude Talk. I'm with Nick and Jared here, and we were just recording an episode, and we haven't went live yet, so bear with us. This is our first time. But we just were reading about, looks like President Biden has resigned from the 2024 presidential race, and we have the letter here that I'm going to read just to give you his thoughts. And I'm not saying that I endorse or support anything in this letter. I haven't read it yet. But it is from the current president of the United States.
We're just bringing you information.
Joseph Biden. It says, "Hello, my fellow Americans. Over the past 3.5 years, we have made great progress as a nation." Yeah, I already don't believe that. Today, America has the strongest economy in the world. We've made historic investments in rebuilding our nation, in lowering prescription drug prices for seniors, and expanding affordable health care to a record number of Americans. Again,
Right.
I didn't say I agreed with anything
Are
in
you?
this letter.
You're just reading. This,
I'm just
right?
reading.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
We've provided critically needed care to 1 million veterans exposed to toxic substances. Man, I read this like he would. Passed the first gun safety laws in 30 years. Appointed the first African-American woman to the Supreme Court, and passed the most significant climate legislation in the history of the world. America has never been better positioned to lead the way we are today. Wow. You can tell he didn't write this. I know none of this could have been done without you, the American people. Together, we overcome a once-in-a-century pandemic and the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. We've protected and preserved our democracy. And we've revitalized and strengthened our alliances around the world. It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve you as president. And while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. I will speak to the nation later this week in more detail about my decision. For now, let me express my gratitude to all of those who have worked so hard to see me reelected. I want to thank Vice President Kamala Harris for being an extraordinary partner in all this work, and let me express my heartfelt appreciation to the American people for the faith that you trust and have placed in me. This is ridiculous.
This is. He didn't write this.
I believe today that I have, as I always have, that there is nothing America can't do, and when we do it together, it makes no sense. We just have to remember that we are the United States of America. Joe Biden. Okay.
Just in case we've not said this before, this is our first go at being live, and you might see our.
Did it mess up?
No, you're fine.
You're great.
I'm glad you were not looking at him or watching the stream on the interwebs, because our logo popped up like 4 times.
We were just making sure that we were letting people know, hey, this is Mountaineer Kingdom Dude Talk.
Right in the middle of you talking. It's like
man.
breaking
Well,
news
good.
type deal. It's like whatever you said wasn't important enough, and we had to throw our logo in there so that way
I'm kind of glad it did that, because then it broke up a lot of the nonsense I just read.
Oh no! I think everything you said came across.
Oh man!
Just with the motion logo instead of it being focused on you.
So we just recorded an episode. It'll be out later this evening, I believe.
It'll be out later this evening.
And we had intended on reading the letter, didn't get to, and I'm like, well, this will be a good time to go ahead and jump live, try this out. That was hard to read.
There's
greatest economy.
There's no way he wrote
They
that.
still take the bounce back from COVID when the country was shut down. They're taking credit for getting all of the jobs back that President Trump promised they would come back, and they came back very quickly. Unfortunately, he wants to take credit for that. That was just mind-numbing to me. And if that letter was truly honest, no, I get it. It's a dropout letter. It's going to try to build the party. It's going to try to build or strengthen the Democrats. But it'd be nice if one of these letters, these guys were completely truthful when it talked about the debacle in Afghanistan, the self-inflicted border crisis, the complete lack of respect around the world for our country with the Ukraine war. Like we're not respected, or I don't want fear is a good word, but as respected as we once were. Just the pure lack of idiocy in that letter was hard to get through.
I think we've had one president that would probably have written that letter as honestly as what you just described. And I think he died in like 1799 or in the early 1800s. So
Are you
like,
saying Washington?
yes, he's about the only one that
Yeah.
that would have been that honest, because he didn't want the presidency to begin with.
Yeah, that was a mouthful. We stay tuned. Keep an eye on it. Keep your pulse on what's going on out there. But that is really breaking news from a very, very chaotic campaign on both sides, especially the tragedy that happened last week with the failed assassination attempt with Trump. Thankfully, it's about to get really interesting.
Yeah. Well, what I think is going to be even more interesting is for Mountaineer Kingdom Do Talk, is we've learned how to go live. And
once we figure out how to not pop the logo up there,
well, I think you figured out how not to do that
Yeah.
over the course. But that's the reason why the veins started popping out of his head. He was laughing so hard. But
I thought it was me being a dummy.
I think that this is
Tri-
huge
tri-
news,
trial
because
and error.
I can't think of a time that I've been following politics to where a leading candidate and a leading party dropped out of the race days before the convention.
Oh my goodness, no.
Not to mention a current sitting president. And I think you brought up right before we went live about J.D. Vance saying, was he even still fit to be president?
Right.
Those are questions that I don't think we have, at least to my knowledge. I'm not a U.S. president historian or anything, but I don't know that we've had this scenario before.
What do you think? What do you think this looks like for the economy going forward? With the unknown of we here at Mountaineer Kingdom Do Talk. I believe when I speak for everybody, we were wanting President Trump back in office. But with the uncertainty of who's going to be in office, will it be President Trump or will it be an unknown? Will it be Kamala Harris? I don't think she comes close to toppling Trump. But what do you think happens?
I think with any sitting president, anytime that there's unsettling news and there's uncertainty, the market goes down. And I think we're going to see it open tomorrow low. And I'm not an economist, but I think we're going to probably absolutely see it drop low anytime there's uncertainty in the U.S. government, because we have the strongest economy in the world, and for the most part we have we're the standard bearer for economy. The U.S. dollar is the standard for the majority of the countries in the world, other than the BRIC countries. I think that we're going to see it open low tomorrow, which is to be expected. And I think once we get more information as to what's going to happen next, is President Biden going to be able to finish his term out, which I don't see any reason why he wouldn't. But if that uncertainty is there, who is going to be the next candidate, that uncertainty is going to be there. We're going to see some shock to the economy just a little bit.
I think we're going to see a lot of that around the globe as well, not just the economy, but with no clear leader or direction in sight other than the strength of President Trump. What is that going to do to countries who think, man, now's the time if we're going to make a move? And I'm not saying just a war or violence, but if they're going to start changing some things, now's the time. Because I don't completely agree with he should resign. I don't disagree with that either, because if you're not fit to run, are you fit to continue to stay in office?
Yeah.
Clearly,
he's got some stuff going on.
When he's got signs of dementia, and I don't even know, because we get lied to so much, if he had COVID or if that was just a cover. But let's say that we believe that, yes, he had COVID. Now's the time for anyone who has ill feelings toward America to start at least talking louder.
Well, I think that's the luxury of the United States is, we have a president that is more or less the CEO of the country, but we have extremely capable individuals in all the other branches of the government, including generals and folks in the military, that can function even when we're in uncertainty as far as who the leader is going to be. Because at the end of the day, their job is to protect the United States. And the president's important, but if you look at the Constitution and look at how we're set up, he's not the most important. He or she's not the most important person. It's actually Congress that has a lot more power and a lot more control. So Congress is still, last I checked, still operating. Maybe not the way we always want it to, but
or ever.
But depending on what side of the coin you're on is going to depend on how functioning they are. So I think from that standpoint, I'm not concerned. Anytime that there's a shock in the U.S. economy, there's going to be a shock, usually globally as well, just because we are the standard for that, with the exception of, like I said, the BRIC countries, Russia, Brazil, India, China.
Let's just hope
South Africa.
The next decisions they make, they don't. They're not like that Secret Service team that was at that rally last weekend.
Not be able to find the holster.
The Z team. All right, before we'll stop there, but before we go, definitely pray for our leaders in our country. We sounds like we're repeating it all day today. Is we are not left or right. We're Team Jesus. We're Team Kingdom, and we're going to go with the guys who represent the kingdom as close as the Scripture as they can. But thanks for joining us live on our very first attempt. Please, if you noticed any of the mistakes that our tech made back here, leave some very lovely comments in the comment section. But thanks for joining us. This is Josh, Nick, Jared. The other two couldn't make it. You guys have a good night.